Well, Madam President, first, let me thank all of my colleagues for their kind words during my time isolating due to COVID last week. As you can see, I've made a full recovery after experiencing only mild symptoms, thank God. COVID has done incalculable damage to scores of American families. But because I was fortunate enough to be vaccinated and double boosted.
So as a general rule, to receive Social Security payments in retirement, a recipient must have worked and paid into Social Security systems for at least 10 years. If you choose to start receiving payments at the earliest allowable age of 62, your maximum possible payment is around $2,300 per month, and the maximum increase is around $3,300 at age 66 and 4 months. At age 70, you can receive the maximum amount of benefits, which is $4,100. Now, designed as a supplement to pension and retirement savings, Social Security currently replaces about 40% of the average American's retirement income. 4 in 10 Americans have the monthly payment as their only source of income in retirement. And according to advocacy groups, seniors are struggling financially due to the crisis, and this has led many people to push Congress for even more stimulus checks. Folks, President Biden just released a shocking announcement in regards to rising inflation. So hopefully we can now get a stimulus check for this. The administration has confirmed that they are now canceling billions of dollars in loan debt for many Americans. Not only that, but listen to this. President Biden said today that there is little he can do to lower the cost of gas or food in the immediate term, and an acknowledgement that prices for those goods will actually remain high as he works to bring down other costs incurred by families. During an event on food shortages, President Biden told reporters, "There's a lot going on right now, but the idea is we're going to be able to click a switch, bring down the cost of gas, and the same thing for food." But President Biden and his team are seeking to place a heavy emphasis on the economy in the coming weeks, as the president looks to demonstrate his commitment to reining in inflation, even as he says there's nothing much he can do. The president has tasked his aides with improving the administration's messaging, as he watches the approval ratings sink. President Biden's plan is centered on allowing the federal policy, the Federal Reserve, the necessary independence to combat inflation through monetary policy. Biden conceded, though, that there was little he could do alone to bring down the highest profile cost spikes. We can't take immediate action that I'm aware of yet to figure out how we're bringing down the prices of gas down to $3 a gallon, and we can't do that immediately with regard to food prices either. Many Americans have criticized the Biden administration for not doing enough to address rising inflation and the food shortages. President Biden said we got millions of tons of wheat that is not able to get out of hand, that is not able to get out and get to the market. It's causing everything from a loaf of bread to cost so much money to food shortages across the world. We're trying to work through how we can get harbors opened and get the tens of thousands of grain that are there. President Biden said instead of direct action to bring down gas or food prices, he was looking to ease financial burdens in other areas, like prescriptions and childcare. When asked about this plan, Biden stated, "We can compensate by providing for other necessary costs for families by bringing those down. That reduces the inflation for the family." Another big announcement was made today. The Department of Education announced that it will cancel $5.8 billion in student loan debt for 560,000 borrowers who attended the now defunct network of for-profit schools, known as Corinthian colleges, and the cancellation amounts to the largest one-time debt forgiveness ever made by the Department of Education. Today's announcement is the latest and biggest action taken by the Biden administration to cancel federal student loan debt for borrowers.
To serve as a circuit judge on the very, very important D.C. Circuit. Very soon, the Senate must also take swift action to pass the PACT Act for a second time in order to correct a technical error that arose in the House. This legislation will be the most important health care reform bill that our veterans have seen in years, and there's absolutely no justification, none whatsoever, to delay swift passage of this bill. And most importantly, the United States Senate must finish work on one of the most urgent priorities facing this chamber, addressing the chip shortage that is hurting American consumers, decimating our supply chains, and endangering our national security. For the information of all, tomorrow we're going to hold the first procedural vote on legislation to address these critical issues, which both sides have been working on for months. As we speak, Democrats and Republicans are hashing out the final details on a bill so we can move forward this week. The chip shortage is not some abstract issue. It's impacting the daily lives of millions of Americans. Cars, refrigerators, and other household appliances require chips to function. But supply shortages mean prices have gone up and up and up for those goods, and Americans have to wait months to just get hold of them. If you want to help with inflation and get it down, this bill is an important bill to...
Which has been a major strain on his job approval rating. Before meeting with Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, President Biden told reporters, "We now have a chance to build on historic recovery with an economy that works for working families. The most important thing we can do right now to transition from rapid recovery to stable, steady growth is to bring inflation down. That is why I've made tackling inflation my top economic priority." The first part of President Biden's plan was the acknowledgement that the Federal Reserve has a primary responsibility to control inflation. Biden also said his predecessor demeaned the Fed and argued that he won't do the same. The second part of his new plan involved making goods more affordable for families with a focus on high gas prices. His administration has blamed the crisis for the high gas price. Biden also touted the release of global oil reserves and called on Congress to pass clean energy tax credits. Biden's plan to make goods more affordable also includes fixing supply chains, improving infrastructure, and cracking down on the fees that foreign ocean freight companies charge to move products. He also touted policies to make housing more affordable and called on Congress to work on reducing the price of prescriptions and lowering the cost of childcare and healthcare. Biden's meeting with Jerome Powell indicates he has directed his attention to high inflation, including the high cost of goods and gas, which has affected the president's approval rating and is a challenge for Democrats. The meeting is his first between Biden and Powell since November. The third part of the president's plan involved reducing the federal deficit through reforms to the tax code. Biden also noted that the Congressional Budget Office projected that the deficit will fall by $1.7 trillion this year, which would be the largest reduction in history. Biden said with the policies right, the U.S. can transition from recovery to stable, steady growth, and bring down inflation without giving up all these historic gains. Lawmakers have made it clear that it may be a while for prices to go down. Biden said that a growth will look forward and look different during the transition to bring down inflation, knowing that there will be lower job creation numbers. Additionally, the president touted elements of the economy that have recovered since the crisis, including a decline in unemployment and American families increasing their savings and decreasing their debt. Some Indiana residents are already seeing extra money in their bank account. Payments from Indiana's automatic taxpayer refund are starting to arrive. Individual taxpayers will get $125, while married couples who file jointly will get $250. The state revealed back in December that Indiana taxpayers will get a refund after filing their 2021 taxes. The Department of Revenue and Auditor of State's office are working together to distribute the money. An estimated 4.3 million Indiana residents are eligible. The governor said the money is effectively a 12% cut in the average resident's annual income tax liability. Approximately $545 million will be returned to taxpayers after the state ended its fiscal year, with a surplus to cause the refund. Most payments are expected to come via direct deposit using information from tax returns, and some tax